at the forefront of politics.
Our enemy is Trump. He is the enemy. We got to unite. If we're not a united party, we lose to Trump.
On the front lines of activism.
There's certain fights, if we don't engage, they win. This is a fundamental question of who we are.
And delivering your daily dose of comedy.
Donald Trump, when he had his physical, they had his blood pressure, and mine is higher than his. Oh. And the irony is mine is higher because of him.
From the blue wave.
We flipped enough seats to take control of the House. We control the House.
To 2020 and beyond. This is the Dean Obeidallah Show on Sirius XM Progress, Channel 127.
And welcome to Dean Obeidallah Show, brothers and sisters. Tuesday, August 6th. We're live for the next 3 hours. I'm Dean Obeidallah, hoping to be your MBFF. And we're going to start out with a special guest right at the top of this show, Vermont Senator and 2020 Democratic candidate Bernie Sanders. Senator Sanders, how are you?
I am great. Great to be with you, Dean.
Great. Thanks for coming back on. I really appreciate it. So, first of all, congratulations. I saw Ben & Jerry's founders have a new flavor out, Bernie's Back ice cream. So that's pretty cool right off the bat. I don't know if you've tasted it or not, but it looks great.
Yeah, I have. It's very good, and both Ben and Jerry are working on the campaign, and we've made a campaign promise that if elected president, Ben Cohn is going to be our Secretary of Ice Cream. How's that?
That's very good. Organic ice cream for everyone. I love this. Very good. So
there you go. How can you lose an election on that basis?
Free ice cream. That's how I ran in like third grade for school president and class president. I won. So if that's the track record, there you go. So first of all, great job last week in the debate. And there, Medicare for All, something that I believe in like you do, and you're the champion of it, I think is important. There was some misinformation, I thought. I don't know if it was deliberate or not by some other Democrats on stage. And I wanted you to clear up something here because some suggested that Medicare for All, people are going to lose their health coverage by saying you're going to lose your health insurance. Can you clear up and destroy the myth that under Medicare for All, you're not going to lose health coverage? That's the key, not insurance, it's health coverage.
That's exactly right. And in fact, in every instance, with maybe a few exceptions, people will have far better coverage than they have right now, because what Medicare for All is comprehensive. Mm-hmm. It covers all of our basic health care needs, including dental, including eyeglasses, including hearing aids. You know, one of these, absurd arguments that are being made against us is that people love their health insurance company. They don't love their health insurance company. They may well love their doctor, may have had a good experience in a hospital or a clinic. They understand that the function of a health insurance company is to make as much money as they possibly can. And last year, let's be clear, the health industry in America made $100 billion in profit. We pay the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We spend almost double what any other country spends on health care. This system works very well for the drug companies and the insurance companies. But you got 87 million Americans who are uninsured or underinsured. We need to expand Medicare to cover all people. We do that over a 4-year period.
And what do you say to those people? Nobody loves their health insurance. You're absolutely right. Anytime you need to use it, everyone knows it. We have to go through not just filling out forms, but getting approvals, and you're waiting there and you're sick, and I've gone through it recently myself. So what do you say to those who just fear change? I mean, that's part of human nature. And they go, well, I have a health insurance plan. How do I know this new plan will be as good? And it's obviously more comprehensive. But what would you say to the average person? They're not left or right. They're in the middle, and they're hearing about this, and they're intrigued but concerned.
Okay, that's a very good question. And the answer is Bernie Sanders and other supporters are not inventing a new program. It's a program that has been around for 54 years, and that is called Medicare. And it is very clear, that Medicare today is the most popular health insurance program in this country, far more popular than the private health insurance companies' offerings. So all that we are doing is taking a program that has worked well for 54 years, that is popular. We are expanding the benefits, and over a 4-year period, we're going from today eligibility for Medicare is 65, first year down to 55, then to 45, then to 35, and then over a 4-year period, we cover everybody. This is not complicated. Nobody is going to lose the benefits that they have. They're going to gain benefits. There will be no out-of-pocket expenses, no premiums, no deductibles, freedom of choice regarding the doctor or the hospital you want to go. This is not a radical idea. It is an idea that more or less exists in almost every major country on earth. You go to Canada today, you go into a hospital, you got a heart transplant. You know how much it costs you out of pocket when you leave that hospital?
How much?
$0.
Wow.
$0. And the Canadians spend about half as much per capita than we spend. This whole fight is really not about healthcare. It is about taking on the power and the profits of the insurance companies and the drug companies. By the way, just a week ago Sunday, I went to Canada with a number of people who are diabetic. We bought insulin in Canada for 1/10 the price that we have to pay here in the United States. And that means that you got millions of people in America who are diabetic who are actually rationing the insulin that they need, which is very, very dangerous to do. So we got a very greedy industry out there. We are taking them on. They have unlimited resources, but we're going to win because the American people do understand that healthcare is a human right, not a privilege, and that corporations should not be making billions of profits off of people's illnesses.
And I have to say, Senator, you, in 2016, I think changed the way people view this issue, and that you moved Americans who didn't think it was possible to have this conversation because it would seem crazily radical to start asking the opposite question of not why can we have this to why don't we have this? How come we're not treated like every other industrialized nation? We're told we're the greatest country in the world. We don't treat our American citizens the same way. So I thank you for that right off the bat. So let me ask about something much more darker and distressing here. And it is Donald Trump and his rhetoric. He's going to El Paso tomorrow. Beto O'Rourke has asked for him not to go to El Paso. Do you have a reaction to him going to El Paso? Does it help? Does it heal?
I agree with Beto. Look, and I got to say, you know, as it gives me no pleasure to say this, but we do have a president who is an overt racist, who is a sexist, who is a xenophobe, who thinks that he was a religious bigot, who thinks that he can win votes by demonizing one group of people or another. And there is no question in my mind that his anti-immigrant sentiment and his racism create a climate where unstable people are capable of doing horrific deeds, as we saw in El Paso. So I think, given the fact that this president, if the president is serious about wanting to do something, he should stay away from El Paso. And what he should do right now is end this anti-immigrant rhetoric, his racist rhetoric. You don't tell 4 members of Congress to go back from where they came from and then tell the American people that you're concerned about violence and you're concerned about racism. So I think if the president wants to do something that's real, that he should just end that racist rhetoric that we've been hearing for years.
I agree with you. I'm chatting with Senator Bernie Sanders. I mean, my community, the Muslim American community, has seen a spike in hate crimes, levels eclipsing post 9/11, and it's completely tied to a man who called for a total complete shutdown of Muslims coming to this country in December 2015, and it's continued. And you tweeted today about your father was an immigrant who came here at 17 without a nickel. He knew no English, and you went on to talk about this is the story of America, and it's under attack by xenophobic demagogues like Trump. We're going to defeat his hatred. How do we defeat his hatred? Because this is issue as important as healthcare.
And let me just say a word. You know, my father was an immigrant, came to this country, as the tweet said, with nothing in his pocket, fled anti-Semitism, never made much money, but he was a very proud American. And let us be clear, we have nothing to apologize as immigrants or the children of immigrants. It is the immigrant community that has built this country. It is people who have done and today are doing some of the most difficult, dangerous work in this country. Everybody in this country is part of came from other parts of the world except the Native American people. So we are going to stand up and stop Trump's racism. We're going to defeat him in 2020 and put an end to this very dark chapter in American history.
I agree. And last thing, Senator Sanders, today you were in California talking about affordable housing, which is an issue that doesn't get enough attention. I mean, I've had Congressman Ro Khanna on a lot. He's talked about it over here. I know he's your co-chair. He's a good friend of the show. What can you do as president about affordable housing?
Oh, there's an enormous amount that we can do. And you're right. It is an issue that has not gotten enough attention. The stories that I heard today about people, modest income people who have seen the landlord come in and raise their rents $200 or $300 a month. They can't afford it. People who literally are living in their cars or living out on the streets. What we can do is make affordable housing a major priority in the Sanders administration, and it will be. And that means building the many millions of units of affordable housing that we need, addressing the crisis of 500,000 people being homeless right now, giving communities the power to go forward with rent control if they want, dealing with this very serious crisis of gentrification, where in community after community here in California, all over this country, you're having buildings being bought up by wealthy speculators who are converting that housing into expensive condos, and working class people being driven out of the homes that they may have lived in for decades. So there's an enormous amount of work to be done. Today I talked about some ideas. In a couple of weeks we'll have a very detailed program about how to address the very serious affordable housing crisis in America.
Well, I'd love you to come back on and talk about that, and talk about your College for All plan and getting rid of student debt, and even foreign policy, which is getting almost no coverage in these debates. Right. And I understand why. But Senator Sanders, thanks for your time. I wish you the best. I look forward to chatting with you again in the future.
All right, let's do it. Take care.
Take care,
Keep
Senator.
up the good work.
Thank you, too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, folks, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll start our show over here. But it's great to have Senator Bernie Sanders. That was the only time he had right at the top of the show. It was great to have him on, and we're trying to get all the candidates on. We've been doing pretty good with Matt and Lauren and our whole team, getting them on little by little, and hopefully we're reaching out to everyone from Biden all the way down, everyone. We're trying to get them all on so you can hear from them directly on this show. Let's take a break, though. Come right back with more of the Dean Obeidallah Show after this. You're listening to the Dean Obeidallah Show, where we crush Trump's lies every single day.